Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a management concept that's absolutely critical for turning a great idea into a real-world success. It's the one thing that makes sure your brilliant plan doesn't just, live and die on a whiteboard. We're talking about the power of controlling. So, does this feel familiar? You lay out a perfect plan for the week. You've got all your goals lined up, but then Friday rolls around and you're thinking, wait, what just happened? It's a super common feeling, right? Well, what if there was a structured, proven way to fight back against that chaos? All right, here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at why plans go off the rails. Then, we'll walk through the simple 5-step process to fix it. We'll get into the different types of control, what separates a good system from a bad one, and finally, we'll check out some actual tools you can use. So let's talk about that system for navigating the mess. In management, this whole idea is a core function called controlling. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a GPS for your project. It's constantly checking, are we still on the right road to get to our destination? Now, the classic definition comes from a giant of management theory, Henri Fayol. And what he's really saying here is that controlling isn't about being restrictive or breathing down people's necks. It's a verification process. It boils down to a simple question. Are we actually doing the thing we said we were going to do? It's all about checking our progress against our original plan so we can spot problems and fix them fast. And this right here is so important. See, management isn't just a random to-do list. It's a chain. You can plan, you can organize, you can lead, but controlling is that final, essential link that connects everything back together. It's what makes sure all that effort actually produces the result you wanted. Without it, let's be honest, a plan is just a wish. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we make controlling a real thing? Well, it breaks down into a really simple but incredibly powerful 5-step loop. This is the framework that makes it all work. So this 5-step process is a cycle that just keeps going. Let's make it super simple. Imagine you're baking a pizza. Step 1, establish standards. Your recipe, that's your plan, says bake at 450 degrees for 12 minutes. That's your standard. Step 2, measure performance. After 10 minutes, you peek in the oven. That's you measuring. Step 3, compare. The cheese isn't bubbly, the crust is still pretty pale. It doesn't match your standard of a perfectly golden brown pizza. You found a deviation. Step 4, take corrective action. You slide it back in for another 3 minutes. And finally, step 5, get feedback. The pizza comes out perfect, and the feedback is, okay, this oven runs a bit cool. So next time, you'll know to adjust your plan from the get-go. This exact loop works for everything from pizzas to rocket ships. But here's the thing. Control isn't just one action. It's all about timing. To really make it work, you've got to decide when to step in. Is it before you start, right in the middle of the action, or after it's all said and done? You've basically got 3 chances to apply control. First, there's feed-forward control. This happens before you even begin. Think of it like a pilot's pre-flight checklist. It's all about preventing problems you can see coming. Then you have concurrent control, which happens during the activity. This is your real-time GPS, making those little steering adjustments to keep you on track. And finally, there's feedback control. This happens after the activity is over. This is like a sports team reviewing the game tape to figure out what went right, what went wrong, and how to win the next game. Inside a company, this often breaks down into 2 main types. You've got preventive controls. These are like putting up a fence to stop problems from ever happening. Requiring a manager to approve a big purchase before it's made, that's a preventive control. Then you have detective controls. These are like a smoke alarm. They're designed to alert you after a problem has already happened, like a monthly budget review that catches overspending. You really need both to have a solid system. So we know the process, and we know the different types. But let's be real, we have all dealt with control systems that are just awful. They feel like bureaucratic red tape designed to make your life harder. So what's the difference? What separates a great, helpful system from a nightmare? Well, it comes down to a few key things. A great control system has to be flexible because no plan is perfect. Things change. It also has to be timely. I mean, getting a report about a problem a month after it happened doesn't help anyone. It needs to be objective, based on clear data, not just someone's opinion. And here's a big one. It has to be easy to understand. If a system is so complicated that nobody knows how to use it, guess what? Nobody's going to use it. The point isn't to track every single tiny detail. It's to shine a spotlight on the problems that actually matter. All right, let's get practical. Enough with the theory. Let's pop open the toolbox and look at a few of the most common techniques managers actually use to put all this into practice. First up, a classic, the Gantt chart. If you've ever managed a project, you've probably seen one. It's basically a visual timeline that lays out all the tasks. Its real power as a control tool is how simple it is. You can see with one look if you're on track or falling behind. It lets you catch a small delay before it snowballs into a huge crisis. Now, for financial control, one of the most powerful tools is break-even analysis. It answers a really fundamental question. At what exact point do we stop losing money and actually start making a profit? By figuring out where your total costs meet your total revenue, you know precisely how many widgets you need to sell just to cover your bills. It's a critical number for any business. And of course, maybe the most universal control technique out there is the budget. A budget is so much more than just a plan for how to spend money. It's a control device. By constantly comparing what you're actually spending against what you plan to spend, managers can keep costs in check and make sure that money and resources are being used effectively. Finally, for the really big, messy, one-of-a-kind projects, we're talking building a skyscraper or developing a new piece of software. You have the heavy-duty tools, PERT and CPM. These methods map out every single task in a project to find something called the critical path. That's the longest sequence of tasks that dictates the absolute minimum time the project will take. If any single task on that path is delayed by 1 day, the entire project is delayed by 1 day. It's an incredibly powerful way to control complexity. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this question. We've talked about some big corporate-sounding tools, right? But these principles, they're universal. It doesn't matter if it's a huge project at work, studying for a final exam, or just trying to get through your weekly errands. So think about it. Where in your life could a simple system of setting a standard, measuring your progress, and making adjustments totally transform your results?